So, test works. As long as there is still a door open, we can expect more people to attend. So I'm crossing fingers that they find a way to this room. Yes, that's not obvious. I completely agree. My first concern was to just walk around and find the way to the room. You're welcome. Stay. You can stay. No, you can't go to the SMR part. It's forbidden. Yeah, I will try to steal a mic from the other room. Newbie experience feedback. It's starting. Thanks a lot, colleagues from the parallel session 1. And have a good meeting. So, one more minute before we close the door. Very good. We are gaining more participants. Run. So in nuclear, we used to start with a safety message. Safety message, don't run to your room because there is a risk you fall and injure yourself. Now, this said, doors are closed and we can start. Okay, let's go. Okay, we'll present ourselves, but as our panelists, dear panelists, are standing. Maybe that's the first improvisation part of the meeting, is we'll swap just a few words and invite our different panelists to come and sit. Then you will be just asked to present yourself as per the plan. That is totally improvised, and then we'll have some time to elaborate on the questions that we have been working together, totally improvised as well, and then we'll address the questions that the audience may bring. That's quite good to see more people joining. So this said, let's
Our first speaker will be Dr. Lou Martinez. She's a Chief Technology Officer at Westinghouse, and she leads the company's global research and development portfolio and advances the company's innovation, product and services technology strategy.
Yeah. Then the next panelist that will join us is Pascal Charles, so Vice President, Head of Power Generation and Engineering by EDF R&D. Welcome.
Juha Poikola is the Manager of Public Relations at TVO. He's an expert in energy and climate policy, and he was responsible for Kyoto 3 communication during the project.
And last but not least, Andrzej Sidlo is Counselor, Ministry of Industry of the Polish Government, Department of Nuclear Energy. So thanks a lot to all four speakers that may take a seat and we'll take the time as well to present ourselves as we wanted to make the show. That will be a cross presentation between Alexandre Havard and myself.
So Baptiste with me is the head of R&D and international partnerships at Framatome and is the chairman of SNETP New Genia Pillars and member of the SNETP governing board.
Thanks a lot. And Alexandre, so Director of Major Projects at Socotec Power Services. So the team that he manages, a large team, is focusing on testing, inspection, and certification. So deliver risk management and technical advisory services globally to the construction, infrastructure, and energy industries. Quite focused to or dedicated to French clients, but still with some collaborations abroad, notably at the Baraka nuclear power plant. I'm glad to say that Alexandre has a Master of Engineering in Process Engineering and has been a consultant on nuclear safety and radioactive waste management before joining Socotec back in 2021. So, again, as we said, there will be a dedicated time for each of our speakers to present themselves. And then we'll go to the very awaited question time. So the first that I invite to present herself is Lou. Thanks a lot. And I think there are slides that are accompanying the presentation. Do you have that? Yep.
Oh, there. Oh. TVO. Oh,
okay, so shall I start?
Okay, or you're presenting TVO, Lou, if you want. No?
Well, we
because he knows my background. Sorry, I guess we go back to
back to you.
Well, back to the system. Well, I can start, and the slides will follow. So they have already done a good introduction about ourselves. They ask us again to introduce us. So just very in a nutshell, so very hybrid. So I'm a biophysicist, I study biomechanics and human factors engineer, and I have a doctoral degree in environmental health. Why? Because when you work in nuclear, I think there is a huge impact on our communities, and the energy has a positive impact into what we are doing, especially also in public health. And that is what I've been working on. I joined Westinghouse 1.5 years ago, and I have a background in big nuclear, traditional nuclear, SMRs, advanced reactors, but also on the automotive. I have built a lot of things in manufacturing. I have worked in construction as well, and I think that's why today this session is going to be really great. And all that is because I just wanted to be a scientist, but the world of the industry really picked me up very early, and I think it is fantastic. And thank you so much for putting this panel. Because I think what is very, very interesting, and usually I get this question about what is innovation, and innovation is really bringing ideas into realization and building things. And I really love my co-partners here in the panel because we have a lot of experience in what brings actually building things and bring them to commercialization. Yes, in a nutshell, I'm sure most of you know what is Westinghouse, but we have, I will say, 2 areas of focus in our strategy. I'm sure today we're going to talk about the AP1000 and the builds we deploy, and we lead in carbon-free technologies with the projects that you are seeing on the screen. AP1000, AP300 is an SMR, eVinci is a micro battery, it's just 5 megawatts, very interesting project, very different from light water reactors, and we only have a non-nuclear project that is an energy storage one. But what is very interesting as well is what's happening actually on the operating plant life cycle. We are very agnostic. We serve any kind of technologies from the fuel side, advanced PBRs, and obviously there are going to be other generation of reactors coming, and we are getting ready as well to do that. And it's very interesting as well what is happening on the outage and maintenance side, the LTO, long-term storage, engineering services and parts. Why? Because we need to keep up and running the plants that we have today. They can keep producing a lot. In the United States, as well as in Europe, the average of those plants is still very, I mean, they're young plants, and they will have long-term storage, and there are a lot of innovation that goes there as well. And one thing that probably we don't know, because everybody, when you think Westinghouse, what do you think? United States, America, but 2 things. First, we are owned by Canadians. So we are owned by Brookfield and Cameco. So legally we are a Canadian company, but a global company with the roots actually from Pittsburgh, where we were born. We are a 100 years old plus company, and we try to build on that legacy. But what is Westinghouse in Europe? I just wanted to bring this to this audience. We have more than 5,000 employees in Europe. We participate very actively with the research and innovation ecosystem in Europe. We will talk later during the panel. We serve in Europe half of the reactors with all the parts, all the things that I have presented before. And what is very interesting is that we have over 6 excellence technology centers as well in Europe, in different countries, and we are developing new ones. So we are located in more than 40 locations. This panel is about building, so we have a lot of prospects. Currently, they are worldwide, 6 AP1000s that they are operating very well with capacity factors that they are very, very impressive. They are 12 more than they are under construction. And in Europe, we have the perspective. Obviously, you have been listening this morning on the panel, and I'm sure I will have a lot of discussions on learning what is happening in Poland, but we are also present in Poland, in Bulgaria as well, and in Ukraine with the AP1000. This is just to give you an nutshell on what we do in Europe. I'm not sure you know all that, but we are present from the nuclear fuel. So we have a plant in Sweden. We have a very nice partnership with ENUSA. that was born really at the very beginning of the nuclear development in Spain. We have a lot of services for OMS in those research and technological centers where we serve our install base here in Europe. A lot of engineering resources, and obviously more they're going to come also to Eastern European countries that they are currently actually developing in Poland and other countries. INC capabilities in Technatom in France, Sweden, and of course new reactors with a lot of prospects that they are coming, and with a lot of focus in what is happening in Poland. In Italy, we have manufacturing capabilities, and here we serve not only fission and advanced fission, but also fusion. We work a lot with programs like ITER, materials, very impressive. And a lot of data and digitalization, with 1/3 of our data and AI teams based in Spain, and the rest in the United States and around the globe. So this is a bit the intro of what we do in Westinghouse and what is my part of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lou. Next up is Pascal. Well, Pascal Charles.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very pleased to be with you today. So my name is Pascal Charles. I work in EDF R&D. I am in charge of nuclear research within EDF. I am the deputy of Bernard Salat, that you know very well because he is president from SNETP. My background is finally not really R&D. I am in R&D for 6 years, but finally I spent a lot of my career in engineering. At the beginning, civil engineering, outside energy domain. It was for large and great bridges. And then I come to EDF and I worked during about 10 years on EPR project. So a lot of EPR project. Finally, I have touched with every EPR project in the world. I arrived, it was the end for a subsidiary from EDF, which was called at this time Sofinel. Sofinel has performed the studies for the EPR of Olkiluoto. And then I spend a lot of my time on EPR Flamanville 3, so I can give you this feedback in a few minutes. I work also a lot of the EPR of Hinkley Point, trying to take into account the feedback on Flamanville 3. And I spend also part of my time on Taishan 1 and 2. It was a very great experience because building EPR in a totally different context than France, it was really very useful. And then I joined R&D 6 years ago. I'm working still on nuclear, on new build, but also on the existing fleet within EDF. So for a few figures about EDF, EDF also is the French electrical utility. So you have some figure here. I won't go into the detail. Maybe you can have the figure about the generation of electricity in 2024. So for all EDF group, 520 terawatt-hour. And as you can see, a lot of this energy is electricity is produced with nuclear, 77% in nuclear. It is for all EDF group, not only in France. In France, it is more than this 77%, but it's a very important part. We have also hydraulic power, and we have also some renewable, and of course, some gas production in order to manage the peak of demand of electricity. So that's why at the end we have at nearly 94% of low carbon emission electricity production. So that is very important for us to be part of this decarbonization process. Of course, we try to improve that. Speaking about nuclear, so as you know, in France, we have a large fleet of reactors. We have now 57 reactors in operation. So the 56 original reactors built during the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and one more, which is the EPR Flamanville 3, which was connected to the grid last December. and which is now at roughly 50% of net power. And we plan to have this full power during the summer. So concerning our fleet, so the average age is roughly 38 years. The total capacity so is 63 gigawatt, and we have 18 nuclear sites. And as was said this morning, we have a plan to increase our capacity. So we plan to build 6 EPR2. So I will come back on this design later. Plus 8 in option to realize by 2050. So this is part of our decarbonization plan for France. And we have also this product, SMR Neward, and other product, and I will come back to this later. In this figure, you have also some figure about R&D, because our R&D is very professionalized to be part of the game in order to help different people from EDF to manage this existing fleet and to manage also the future production. So it's a very important R&D, and we are very famous about that. And to see, maybe to introduce the roundtable, I will not go into the detail. It will be the question we will have after. But maybe the main message I wanted to give to you is that we take into account the lessons learned from the past. From what we call the EPR family. I say there are six EPR. 4 of them are running now, and 2 are still in construction. And then there has been a lot of lessons learned. You know that for all these EPR, there has been a lot of difficulties during construction, and we will come back on that later. And we try to take the best of these lessons learned and try to have a better performance in construction in order to build our program of EPR2, but also to have all this improvement of performance to benefits to other products that we have. We still manage EPR. So EPR2 is finally the optimized version of EPR. And we have also a product which is called EPR 1200, which is only with 3 loops, wherever EPR2 is 4 loops. And we have also this Neward SMR, and all the lessons learned we have about construction that benefits to all our product, and we want to standardize all these good lessons learned. But we will come back later on that topic. Thank you.
Thank you, Pascal. So Juha, please, can you introduce yourself?
Thank you. Hopefully we get the picture out. So I'm from Olkiluoto. We are a bit smaller than you. Like, I just counted maybe 5% of your production, but please raise your hand if you have heard about Olkiluoto. Hopefully we get into 100% of hands.
People are not there just by any random choice, obviously.
So our reputation is good, which is so we are well known, and the site is great, as you can see from the picture. So just enjoy the picture for a while. Oh, you don't see the picture. Sorry about. So now we can enjoy.
Becoming.
Not yet. We see it over here. Sorry about it.
That's good.
Okay. So, of course, I've seen the history of the nuclear, the big change that we are stepped into in year 2002. It was quite tight decision in the Finnish Parliament, 2002. Then do we get the license? Do we get the permit? It was almost 50-50, but the great majority actually voted yes, and then the public also accepted nuclear after these political leaders showed the yes to our project. And today, of course, we are in a very, very good situation. Only 9% are against nuclear power. So it's great to be in this business. And we have lots of lessons learned. 18 years of EPR constructions, and we can talk about that later. But Also, just reminding the land use. It's you can clearly see it from the pictures that land use is a big question also in Finland regarding the new builds in solar and wind. So in that tip of the island, we produce 30% of the Finnish electricity. So very efficient way and very nice cooling water conditions back there. Good.
Okay, and we'll move to Andrei Sildo.
Yeah, okay, so
Just in a
can I go
second.
to switch to my presentation? Okay. So, hello, I am Andrzej Sidło. What is it? And what? I am here. I represent the organization that does sell nothing. We are buying. We are saying I am representing Polish government, Ministry of Industry, Nuclear Energy Department. Currently, we are responsible in Poland at government level for practically all nuclear project at country level, except for sure regulatory aspects. So the Polish regulator, PAA, doesn't report to us. They report to another ministry because for sure to avoid conflict of interest. However, all the rest, or practically all the rest is in our hands, which means we are developer of the project, we supervise PG company, we are responsible for creation of atomic law, not only law but technical decrees, some regulations, for public communication, education, international cooperation. And me personally, I am responsible for local content supply chain issues within the Polish nuclear program. So mostly it goes starting from monitoring, following of current competences of Polish industry, Polish companies, for the specific purposes of nuclear projects, and also from years we are working with our industry to start to familiarize our companies with nuclear business. From around 4 years, we are not only starting, we are intensifying our efforts mostly in training areas. We are organizing, we are funding, we are organizing specific specialized training sessions for Polish companies. And also I am responsible for, let's say, partly what is a little even more capacity building for Polish industry, so cooperation with universities. Starting from this year, we are launching new program with universities to build, let's say, additional competencies. And also I am responsible partly for R&D projects. And few words about me personally. So I think I am the rare case in Polish administration. I am not, let's say, civil servant by education. I joined government directly from industry, from energy sector. Previously, I've been working 10 years in construction and manufacturing company, Polish companies, but I was only responsible for export projects. So if anybody from you ask me about some specific, let's say, power plant in Poland, I don't know nothing. But if you say my name in a lot of power plants or factories across Europe, a lot of people knows me. So I was mostly responsible for French market. So if you say my name in all non-nuclear power plants in France, I was there. In Spain, in Norway, in Finland, in UK, practically everywhere where during 10 years we had something to do. And I think it was from personal perspective, I see that it was very good experience to enter to higher level or to do something next. I mean, on country level, to work with industry, to prepare, to understand specific needs that are in nuclear business, but also from Polish perspective, Polish industry perspective. Okay, this is all about me. Yeah.
Thanks a lot to all for those presentations. As Alexandre mentioned, I entered Areva at the time 20 years ago, and I stayed in the company since then. So, which means that I entered the group at the moment that the OL3 contract was unsigned. And I stayed in the group, and I had several positions in the group, while the contract has been not as smoothly as we expected to, but has been executed. So that's with a kind of sense of responsibility that I'm very glad, together with Alexandre, to animate this roundtable. And let's jump into the topic. Let's address the elephant in the room, which is, okay, those recent new build contracts that we experienced, Framatome, EDF, Westing, they did not go exactly as we expected to. I want to make 2 points before leaving the mic to our panelists. They didn't go as expected with respect to schedule and money, but for the sake of safety, because safety is our first pillar, and I think that will be very visible in what you will say. So I wanted to address that before giving you the mic. So I'm very glad to launch you, Lou, with respect to the experience feedback that, the challenges that have been encountered by Westing during those recent new builds.
Well, I think it's going to be very boring because Kim, Pascal, and we are very in alignment on the challenges and the lessons learned. I saw your slide as we were preparing. Before starting with the challenges, there are, some things that I think we need to have in mind when you are choosing a technology and you are building something new. So, especially in nuclear, first, you need to design something. Your technology needs to be a design that needs to go until the end. You need to be able to license it. You need to be able to build it. You need to be able to get rid of it or prove that you can do it. And you need to be able actually to finance it. The problem with the first reactors that we built is that for 25 years, 30 years, the nuclear power plants were doing their great service, producing electrons very quiet on the back. Nobody was thinking about them because they have this long extension working tremendously. And then we realized that at the same time, and just for context, actually I joined also Ariba at that time, so I have actually the double scars here on the EPR, and now I'm learning a lot as well on the AP1000. But at the end is how you learn all those things. To design, to build, to go through all that processes, those are the challenges. If during 25 years you don't do that, you lose the know-how, and you lose the know-how in different areas. First is on designing itself. So I think we agree that the first of the kind, usually they have a design that was not fully frozen, how usually they like to call it, or American colleagues, but a design that is not standardized, that is not simplified, gives you issues on the other areas, because then you go to the licensing. And what happened, and I think it's very similar, we have a new frameworks. After Fukushima, in the middle of the construction, you have actually new frameworks that they were coming in designs that they were not fully standardized. The supply chain was kind of a bit rusty because obviously 25 years without building. They have built a lot in other areas, as you have mentioned, but not in nuclear. So when suddenly they needed to be compliant with an NQ, with ASME, with all those requirements, they were like, wow, actually I forgot how to do that. So you see, those are, for me, the main challenges that we have seen, that is really normal when you are building a complex system, but we subestimate because we have built so many reactors before that we thought, oh, that is great. And last point on the challenge that I think we also, we find out, it was during the working side, the lack of availability of skilled workers. I'm not talking about nuclear engineers for doing the licensing, but it is how many cables do you need to plug in a work stream? And then you realize that actually electricians, they don't want to work on site. They are not used to that kind of work like construction workers, and actually you don't have enough. You have very sophisticated weldings just to be compliant. Well, where are those welders? We didn't have them. And those are some of the challenges that I think we have been facing that are pretty transversal. But Pascal, what do you think?
Yes, I totally agree with what you say, Lou. It's in fact, in France, the main challenge we have had is that if we take the first concrete of our EPR of Flamanville 3 and the first concrete of the previous, of the last nuclear power plant we have built in France, it has been 16 years. And during 16 years, all the know-how has nearly disappeared. Not really disappeared, because we have a large nuclear fleet. We operate this fleet. So it's clear we have still some skills in nuclear, but not skills in building new project. And in fact, when we start this process of Flamanville 3, we think that in the past we managed to build 3 or 4 reactors per year. So we were it was easy to build a project, but finally it was no more the case. And moreover, when we start the construction of Flamanville 3, in fact, the level of maturity was clearly not enough. We start the construction, the studies were not finished. We planned to finish them during the construction, but finally, as it was a completely new design, it was a switch from generation 2 to generation 3, taking into account the feedbacks from previous different accidents, Chernobyl, of course, and then we have during the construction the Fukushima events. So the level of safety requirement was not the same as for an existing nuclear fleet. And in fact, all this fact together makes that, in fact, it was not possible to build as faster as we have performed in the past. Another fact is that when we start the construction of Flamanville 3, contrary to the past experience, we build only 1 unit. And in fact, in the past, we know that the first of a kind, we spend a lot of time for the first of the kind, because it is really long to improve and to finish the design. But when you build the other units on the same design, same model, in fact, it is faster and faster. But when you have only 1 unit, you cannot have this series effect. We build the EPR Flamanville 3 only 1 unit, and we know that when you start the construction of nuclear power plant, it is easier to build by pair, to have 2 units, because the second unit sometimes can help the first unit. You can take some equipment for the second unit if you have some problem of the first unit, and then the first unit can progress without some difficulties, and then the second unit, even if we switch from some equipment, finally the second unit, they benefit from the lessons learned from the first unit. So at the end, the pair is easier to build than only one unit. And that is a very important lessons learned that we learned during this construction, and now that's why we think that it is only possible to build by pair, but it is only possible to have different pairs, not only one pair. And that's why our program that we have for EPR2, we build 6 EPR2 in order to have several pairs. Coming back to the discussion, to the problem we have at the beginning of Flamanville 3, I think the supply chain is the most important one. All the companies that were working on Flamanville 3, some of them are specialized in nuclear. Maybe they have still the competency, but a lot of them, civil constructor, mechanical aeration designers, they were no more used to build in a nuclear context. And you know, to build in a nuclear context is clearly not the same to build in a classical context. So this lack of experience made that we have a lot of site issues, some error, non-conformance, etc. So we have very big non-conformance. We know them. We have to change a lot of things. But we have also a lot of small, very small non-conformance, very small errors. We have to correct that, and that takes a long of time. And at the end, it is very large delays. So all this this element, this factor made that at the end we were very late, and we start the construction. First concrete of Flamand Street was in 2007. We are now in 2025, so I let you count the number of years. It's quite not a good performance, and but we think that we can use this for the future. But maybe I will pass the to my colleague to explain their own experience.
Well, the construction period sounds familiar, so we talked about 18 years in Olkiluoto 3. So, but reminding the change that has happened, the one aspect is that when we decided to build Olkiluoto 3, but it was a turnkey contract as you described, but it was a contract between two parties. So one contract, private company, and there were no state involvement, no state aid, no. In that sense, it was company decision and company process. But now, if you look at today, it's very difficult to make these financial packages and decisions because you have the government risk-sharing mechanism added to this process. So in that sense, it was much easier. So our owners just put 25% equity, and then the finance market would borrow the rest. And of course, the Finnish Mangala principle was also made it possible. But this today, you need to have the government packages, and that's also the situation in Finland. And if you think about new build, so market-oriented private investment is not realistic.
Okay, so in Poland, from Polish perspective, where we are embarking in nuclear business, we are importing nuclear technology, so it's different than in your countries. What I can say, from years we are analyzing what went wrong in over nuclear new build projects in Europe or even in the world, and we have analyzed the situation. So what we can say that our position, let's say position of Polish government, that nuclear is highly regulated business, and government must be in the project directly or indirectly, providing some incentives, for sure, political stability as law, and so on. So here, I think the situation from 6-7 years is very good, because current or previous government is fully supporting nuclear, and it's not only because government is supporting, because there is extremely high support for nuclear, around 90% of public support for nuclear. So we as a government, we are in a fantastic situation to develop the project. Practically nobody protests or nobody. Okay, people are asking questions, but such questions are when maybe government should speed up the nuclear program. Okay, but what is, let's say, inside the project, so generally public support is. However, people that are not working in nuclear business, they don't know how much efforts we need to do upfront of the project, in the preparatory phase of the program. So people simply are asking us when we will start the construction, physical construction of the project, when we will start to dig. And this is the only one question that we receive from public opinion, from Polish parliament and so on. And simply only few people realize that a nuclear project requires a lot of preparation before, like regulatory framework, stable legislation, work with to ensure the qualified staff, workforce for the project, both in regulatory, in investor, in supply chain, and it simply requires time. So it's not we cannot speed up the project. Okay, even if I go to Minister of Finance asking more funds for the project. Currently, we can do it. However, sometimes we see that even if we have more funds and money for this or this specific area of preparation nuclear project, sometimes we hit the barriers. There's no people on the market, not only in Poland, in Europe, to hire. For instance, our regulator has a lot of trouble to find a relevant partner. PG company, Polish supply chain. However, we have to struggle with it. But it's extremely difficult to explain to public opinion that, okay, the word that we use very often is patience. Patience, and also in Poland that we explain to people, please be humble. Please don't overestimate your and our, let's say, forces, because nuclear business is, well, difficult, and even right now we cannot identify some potential risks that are in the project. So this is Polish situation, general situation.
Thank you very much for sharing with us the main challenges that you've faced in the recent projects. In the nuclear industry, we would like to learn from past experience. And so you've started with providing us with some of your written of experience, like building in pairs. Would you like to maybe go a bit deeper into what you've learned and how you address those issues?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's very, very important because actually, I mean, what is very interesting when you see, and Pascal was mentioning, I mean, the French fleet, when you are construction, the South Korean one, you see that the more you learn, the more you have lessons, and the more you avoid all those kind of things. So, I mean, the AP1000, obviously I will talk about those specific programs and the lessons learned that we have there. But for the context, it's a fully passive safety reactor. It's fully modularized. We have 52 models between a structural and the build of it that has an impact as well on the design. So the lessons learned in that context is that first, okay, passive safety is great, especially when you are doing your cost modeling, your safety case, a lot of advantages there, but it means that you need to integrate it in the design from the beginning. It is not the same way of designing as you are designing it if it's not modular construction. And now we hear a lot, and again, I have spent 10 years of my life in manufacturing in the automotive. When I hear like, oh, everything is gonna be manufacturing driven, and say, cautious there, because if it's not introduced since the beginning, that design to manufacturing, it requires a different process in how you are doing it. It means that you need to fully digitalize the process from the beginning, actually, until the end. So in Westinghouse, they developed this platform. It's called WNexus, where actually it's a building information modeling, a true one. It's not just AutoCAD to do drawings. It is a way to interconnect all the changes that you are having on the design, reducing the number of drawings that you are doing. So that is one of the lessons learned. Second, lessons learned, when you do safety, passive safety, and you need to exercise a new supply chain almost from scratch, the qualification times, it takes longer. You need to include it from the very beginning. So what we have done is create partnerships and R&D and innovation partnership with our supply chain, so they can start build prototypes. They can start exercising from the digitalization, but also on the testing side. So when they do it in real time, actually works better. The organization, another lessons learned, that is, when today you see the engineering department of Westinghouse, is very different from when they were working on Vogtle 3. 80% of the engineers during Vogtle 3, they were components engineer. They were actually doing design. When you standardize and you simplify your design, right now we have 60%. They are civil structure, civil engineers, electricians, is people that they are, I will say, engineer plants and technicians that they know how to build things. So it shifts also a lot that. Another lessons learned is the licensing process. So we have what we call it kind of a high-level pedigree on licensing, because we have gone through the process in different countries. In the United States, we are very engaged also with Canada, with UK, of course also compliance with the European utilities frameworks here for what we are working with our colleagues and friends in Poland. But one thing that is very critical is when you are going and choosing a framework on licensing, you need to think fleet, not just one construction. And usually that is the error that you do on the first of the kind. And actually, right now is something very positive for AP1000, especially on the United States, and we are doing something similar in Europe, because we have a lot of sites that actually they are licensed on the environmental side, so you can start your projects actually much faster. So it's very important what Andre was saying, all that work happens before actually you are even pulling concrete, that you need to think on those strategies before you move them forward. And the last point I will mention is really on the innovation side. Obviously, I mean, I'm an R&D person and a scientist. Of course, we love innovating and pulling new things. Well, please do not. Why? Because innovation actually creates more risk and more uncertainty. So the only innovation once we arrive to those frozen designs is really to simplify systems. And if you see another lessons learned on that simplification, the AP1000 has a footprint, and you mentioned it as well, how important it is actually, the footprint. Not only because of the environmental resources that is very critical, but also on the cost certainty. The AP1000 for the nuclear-related systems utilize, I think it's 2.6 square meters per megawatt hour that is produced. It's very tiny, very, very tiny. And why so important? Because it means that you need less concrete, less steel that is nuclear qualified. So when you are looking to your designs, you need to take into account actually that parameter as well. So the innovation is to work for simplification and standardization, and then the rest of the lessons that I have mentioned already.
Thank you. Maybe we can go to the EPR and
Yes.
the next one.
So after the bad news, maybe the good news, because it's clear that this lesson learned was very difficult for all the teams. It's clear that all the EDF teams who have worked on Flamanville 3, I can say that they spent a lot of time during their days. They finished their job late in the evening in order to be on time as much as possible. So that is clearly important to say that people, they are really mobilized, they are really engaged in order to make the success of the construction. But at the end, it was not a success. So after all this feedback, we start to think about what has failed. We try to make a complete list of what all the mistakes we have done, all the difficulties we have, and we try to find a plan. Because at the end, the EPR Flamanville 3 is a good product. It is a good product, high level of safety, high level of production, 1600 megawatts, so it's very, very high. But in fact, it is a product that is not easy to build. So maybe if we want to build 2, 3, 4 EPR, we can take the same design of Flamanville 3. Now it is mature, it is mastered. We have this supply chain that has been rebuilt. So we can build some new EPR with a duration that is really faster than the EPR of Flamanville 3. But if we want to go to a large program, as was said, 6 + 8 EPR2, it's clear that we cannot take this design. We have to improve it, but we have to be cautious, because when you improve a product, sometimes you have the not desired effect. Sometimes you make it more difficult to build. So we decided only to change the design, but only on the way to ease the construction. That was the decision. That's why we call this product EPR2. EPR2 is the optimized design of EPR. The goal is to change only what is not good for the construction process. So we don't change the safety objective, we don't change the production, we don't change a lot of characteristics of the product, but we change what is long to build. So we try to work on the civil structure. We try to align the walls in order to make them easier to build. We work to have less welding, because the welding process is very long. We try to simplify the test also that we will perform, and we try to simplify the product. On EPR2, we have only one single containment. On previous project, we have two containments. With one single containment, it is clearly easier to build with the same safety characteristic of the containment. So that is clearly the objective, to ease the construction, to change the way we think, because on Flamanville 3 we design a product, and the objective was to design a good product, and then the construction will manage it, and that was not possible for the future. So now the design is not here to say what must be built, but is to be adapted to the construction, and keeping, of course, the same safety characteristics. So we don't change that. So that's clearly the main objective. That's why we made sometimes large modification, but not really large modification, in order to ease the construction. Of course, with this program 6 EPR2, we know that as we change the design, we will maybe take a longer time of the first of a kind, but as we will build 6 EPR2, for the fourth EPR2, there will be this series effect that will be there, and that will ensure good constructability, and that will provide a very short duration of construction. So in order to do that, also we work a lot on the supply chain. Of course, the skills are very important, but also the facilities in our supplier are very important. When you build only one EPR, the supplier, they have their factory. In their factories, they build some, for instance, some pipes for nuclear, but they build also some pipes for other domain, oil and gas, and so on. So finally, nuclear is not the priority. When you say to them, we will build 6 EPR2, we will have a longer program, they can say, okay, it is worth building a factory dedicated to nuclear. Chinese people do that very, very well. But you will have to give to them this long-term experience, a long-term view, in order that they made the investment in order to build dedicated factory, in order to have people also. People are very important. The skills, it's critical. We have this plan to increase the skills in France. Guillaume Buit this morning has spoken about 100,000 people to hire in the next 10 years. It is a lot for the nuclear companies, and we have to train them a lot. So that is again the same issue. We must give them a long-term view in order to have a lot of people. And then we must work on the way we build the product. So the question of standardization, modularity. So our EPR2 is not so modular as AP1000. It's clear, but we try to do that, to make more prefabrication, heavy prefabrication, to have some mechanical modules. And we try also to standardize in our EPR. We have several different size of the doors, for instance. So it was clearly a complexity, because we have, in fact, specific doors for each room. That was not possible for larger scale. So we have standardized the doors, we have standardized the valves, we have standardized the pumps also, in order to have something more easier to build. One thing that is really important is the way to manage the project. We have professionalize the project team. And what is really important is to think again and again on the schedule. Finally, what drives a so big project is the schedule. All the project team has to be mobilized to the schedule. The cost will follow. If the schedule is here, the cost will follow. So that is clearly important to have this change in the mind, to have milestone and to fit to this milestone. In order to do that, clearly, we have to use what we can about the numerical data, digitalization of the process. So on EPR2, we start the design of EPR2 with a full digital process, full system engineering process in order to facilitate the design and to manage also the requirements, to have the list of all requirements, safety requirements, and to be sure they are well introduced in the design, and to be sure at the end the supplier will respect them, and that we will not be obliged at the end to say, hey, this is not conform to your requirement, you have to rebuild again. So that's clearly important, and with the progress of digital tools, it's clear that we have the possibility to do that now. And as I am R&D, I think I have the same feedback than you. When we try to see on a R&D perspective, what can we do on EPR2, we will say, oh no, it's not we will not include a lot of innovation on our product. The goal is to build it as it is. And finally, we say, okay, but R&D is not only new product innovation of the design, it is also innovation on the way to build it faster. And we try to focus our R&D on the way to build faster, to develop some different way of building. For instance, for civil structure, we are fully convinced that steel concrete can be a very good process in order to speed up the construction. On AP 1000, it is very much used, not on our design, and we think about using steel concrete, which is clearly we can build 30% faster than in classical civil structure. So it's clearly a way to find some possibility for R&D to express new ideas. For also the control of weldings, we find some new techniques using using image of the welding in order to analyze with some very complex algorithm with artificial intelligence to have a good prognostic whether the welding will be good or not. And we can stop the welding during the process if we think that the parameters are not good. Or we can, at the end of the welding, be sure that this welding will be good, or we have some doubt that it can have some non-conformance. And then we can organize the test in order to test the welding when we have where we have some doubt before the welding that we think that they are good. So this is all some example that where we think that R&D innovation can help also build a better nuclear power plant in the future. That are some examples, but we have a lot of other examples. But maybe if you have some question, we can speak about that, and I will let my colleague speak.
Okay, thanks, Pascal. So if I pick up from your presentation, so I agree many things, but constructability, it was a problem. It's very difficult. It was very difficult to build the first EPR into Olkiluoto, and improvement is needed. And but the second thing is that it has been running nicely. We have now 2 years of experience, and we have only a few minor technical problems, and only 8 days we didn't produce electricity during this 2 years, only 8 days were lost in the production. So very good, exceptionally good start if you think of a new build. And this is one lesson learned is that it was tested so thoroughly. There were 3,000 tests during the commissioning phase. So our engineers, they were quite sure that no surprises will be during the commercial start, and that has happened. But of course, the final answer that how good it is will be, we will answer it to you after 100 years of operation. So we'll get back to that question. And second thing I would like to raise here is that we started Olkiluoto 3 in 2005, and actually we got a permission and we started Olkiluoto 4 project in 2010. And the one lessons learned that we took in the Olkiluoto 4, which was never completed, never decided to continue, but what we took is we decided to use a lot of time and money into the bidding and design phase. The budget was to use 300 million make sure that the design is ready before you start the construction. So that's the lesson which is widely known, but anyway, totally different approach than what we had in EPR. Regarding the improvements, our favorite topic is harmonization and the European market, how to build more efficiently and cost efficiently. I think we will back to that harmonization issue later, but so I give floor to my colleague.
Yeah, so also I would like to continue this topic of harmonization or fleet approach, let's say. So personally, I really invite to our colleagues from France or maybe from China right now, you have the same technology in 18 power plants in France. You are building next in Sizewell, in Finland, and so on. So this is really full fleet approach that you can develop. So it refers to regulatory works, to technology provider, to supply chain. From our perspective, for sure, we are importing technology, so it's out of the question to even dream about 10, 12, 20 power plants in Poland, nuclear plants with the same technology, because we are speaking in Poland about maybe 2, maybe 3 large-scale nuclear power plants, plus in the near future, SMRs. And okay, right now we are working on first project in Poland, Lubiatowo-Kopalino 3 AP1000, the story of second large-scale project. We will see what technology will be picked up, maybe the same, maybe over. So for us, for importing country, it's a little difficult to say fleet approach. However, what we are saying, what are our answers in all this? So first of all, from government perspective, we are preparing nuclear law as technology agnostic, fully neutral. And this is our answer for it, because I cannot say what will be the situation in Poland in 20 years. Maybe next government will build third, fourth, fifth nuclear power plant using also another technology, PWR, BWR, CANDU, I don't know. Okay, so our answer for it's fully neutral atomic legislation. So if you take up current shape of Polish nuclear legislation, is fully neutral, and you can buy any nuclear reactor, PWR, BWR, SMR, large-scale research reactor using based on existing law, and we think it's pragmatic, it's a good approach. What is a little missing in Poland, I will say in European continent, in European Union level, we are missing the harmonization of standards, technical standards that are applied, for instance, in supply chain area of nuclear business. And in our opinion, it's feasible to achieve one day in Europe, in European Union, the harmonization of nuclear technical standards, nevertheless of the technology, which are applied in specific projects. And this is, let's say, the official position or proposition of Poland, of my country, in any harmonization initiative that are or were recently on European level, in European Commission level. So we as Poland, we are supporting such initiatives. For sure, it must be technology neutral because, okay, in European Union, there is only one technology provider, France, but okay, who knows what will be in the future. And also, in Central and Eastern Europe, we operate a lot of power plants formerly imported from Soviet Union. And also in operation phase, it should be technology neutral because we cannot apply, let's say, RCC codes for existing former Soviet Union power plants in Czech or Hungary power plants. It's not possible. So our, let's say, one of preconditions of this harmonization initiative is it should be technology neutral. Also, what I remember, I participated in a lot of technical committee or technical groups under European Commission, and we are arguing that we are supporting such initiative. However, it must be also, it cannot add additional burden, financial burden for existing law or technical decrees or existing regulatory framework, because sometimes in Central and Eastern Europe, it's not the case of Poland, but in Slovakia, in Czech Republic, we saw that power plants operate, and there are some rules, there are some procedures, so there's no sense to add additional procedures that will be additional costs. Because at the end of the day, all we will regret as nuclear business, that we will ask why nuclear business is not competitive toward other energy sources like renewable or conventional business. From Polish perspective, also we see that we see as a, let's say, good practice to use in other countries that nuclear legislation should be technology neutral, and however, it's difficult to ensure it. I remember the first work that I was engaged 10 years ago when I joined Nuclear Energy Department. I was preparing one of technical decree in the area of nuclear inspections of, let's say, future power plant in Poland to describe, to decide anything, how we will inspect nuclear components like safety-related 1, 2, and 3. So at this time, it was the time before the choice of technology for Poland. We prepared this technical decree as technology neutral, but we could not predict everything. And it was really funny. Based on this document, this technical decree, maybe 4 months ago, our Polish colleagues from Westinghouse Poland has told us that they have read and analyzed this document very particularly, and there are some barriers, because we have 10 years ago we put in this technical decree that for any nuclear component inside nuclear reactor we should enable 600 millimeters of distance to enable each inspection. So Westinghouse is saying us, we need to redesign the reactor, because if we respect carefully this technical decree, our reactor is, let's say, modular, let's say compact, it's small. So what we are doing? So right now we are thinking, okay, maybe we will make some exclusion, or maybe we will redesign this technical decree. Simply, it takes time. Yeah. So, but from Polish perspective, we see that it's feasible to build fully technology neutral technical legislation, and what we are supporting on European level, because we are on European EU conference. We are under the Polish presidency in European Union. This is our one of recommendation to start any day this real harmonization process. Like it is currently in conventional business. If you read any pressure directives that are in each country, Poland, France, Norway, Spain, Finland, in each EU member, you will find a lot of conventional business harmonized, but such technical decrees like pressure directive excludes from scope of activity nuclear business, and it creates a lot of problems inside European Union. I think that what we can say openly, we are losing competitiveness comparing to other than European nuclear business. It was the case of EPR project, free projects. You know, each country in the European Union is free to create, let's say, technical decree, technical legislation as considers. And as a result, a lot of Polish companies that were involved in EPR investment in France, in Finland, and in United Kingdom before Brexit told us a surprising thing. We received different technical expectations and quality expectations from our client. It's a crazy situation. And each time we need to invest a lot of money to adapt our quality organization system, our business approach for our client. However, this is the same technology. So we think that one day we should start a real harmonization process.
Thanks a lot. That was rich. I mean, I think we can agree on that. So we will come back with respect to the standardization a bit later. But I find already very interesting, not only the points that you highlighted and that have been highlighted as sort of threats from the different countries, such as having a supply that is supportive and able to support the new build contracts, having skilled workers and so on. But the point that I keep in what you said is very interesting as vendors. It's basically when we started those projects recently, the Flamanville project or the AP 1000 projects, the designs were not fully completed to the end. And I mean, that's a very interesting testimony on an industrial standpoint, because for financial reasons, it's super difficult for an industrial to go up to the very end of the design, not talking about the fact that to get an instruction by the safety authorities, you need a concrete project behind. So that's really interesting. And I mean, now we broke the chicken and egg paradoxon, in which it's been difficult to start because we don't feel we are 100% ready to start. So let's say we are no more eggs, we are chicken right now. And the next big thing is now that the pump has been launched, and we don't launch a pump 100% from the beginning because otherwise we have some risk to break it. Okay, now that it's launched, we need some sustained activities. That's the point of view that I think as industrial we can share. Hence, the next question that goes to André and to Jua is more related to engagement. So will be the question goes to, okay, what do you have to say with respect to state engagement? Because clearly, if we want to keep on going and to have a sustained stream of business that entertains, that maintains our capability to do, there definitely is, to an industrial point of view, a need to have these sustained streams. So these support from the politics, and of course the support from the politics comes as well as a support from the public. If the public is not there, if public engagement is not there, then it's difficult to get the political engagement. So what is it that you can say about those points about public engagement, and as well comments with respect to political engagement are welcomed as well?
Well, from Polish perspective, what we see when we prepared the project, when we launched the project, so we were starting with very bad position because maybe you know that we were building in the 80s nuclear power plant Żarnowiec. It was based on Soviet technology, but beginning of 90s, government, due to the huge financial economic crisis, government stopped the project, but practically abandoned the project. And it was this bad opinion of nuclear in Poland that generally, we have strong support for nuclear generally, but people are asking if this time government will lead to the end this project. It's maybe you will repeat the same story when it was in the 80s, or you will really develop, you will build really this project. So for sure, it requires credibility from government. We see in Poland that it requires for sure the initiative from government. So government must be really involved in the project. Previous, let's say, previous period of development of nuclear program in Poland, 2009, 2017 was, let's say, at this time government was not really interested to develop the project, saying that, okay, we want, but everything must be based on commercial level. So we were thinking to duplicate Hinkley Point C model. Let's say government will not be in the project, everything must be bankable. It was wrong, it was error. And we understood from this time that if we really develop this project, build the power plant, government must be in. It was also one of the reasons why in 2021 we reorganized the project, and from this time the future utility PG company reports directly to government, not in the frame of existing utility of energy in Poland like PGA, Tauron, Enea, and so on. It was the case previously. We understood that if we want to move the project to the next phase, we need to even shorten these decision lines. Okay, but we see that now it works, but at the beginning of the program, it requires strong support of government, not only declaration, not only politics, but we are developing now these activities through different activities. Like, okay, legislation is already, but we are investing a lot in staff, in human resources, funding a lot of training programs. So we are next year, I think we will open a new R&D nuclear program. So we see that there are results of it. People perceive nuclear projects by tangible, concrete effects. Like, okay, from this time, from 2-3 years, Polish government at least pick up the program, pick up the technology provider, Westinghouse Bechtel. We are moving to next step, and next step. So people are observing this and are more and more confident to the project. What we are, I'm responsible for supply chain, so I can say simply that in this area of the program we have even more than 100% of support for the project. So simply when we communicate, when we speak with industry, with local content companies, so there are no doubts. However, simply companies are asking us or even pushing us when we will start the project, because they are waiting for the real orders. One of let's say trouble that we have, challenge, I don't know how to say, this is the public support toward repository, waste management of radioactive repository, because okay, this is one of, let's say, problematic point in nuclear business everywhere, in nuclear programs. Okay, where we will store, what we will do with waste, radioactive waste. In Poland, we have one repository of radioactive materials, and soon we have to close it because it's full, it's practically full. We produce the radioactive waste from medical, from radioisotopes. We operate one research reactor in Poland, so also we have this flow. And we as a government, we are responsible, we have to find a new location for this repository. And please believe me, this is the most difficult task of our whole nuclear program. So if we speak about local communities, where we will locate the second large-scale power plant, nobody protests. Even we received the, let's say, proposal from local government, from Małopolska, Wielkopolska, from various locations. We want second large program here. Even there are no major discussions around possible location for SMRs. There's no. However, there are large, let's say, debate where we will build second repository in Poland because nobody wants, because this is radioactive, this is a repository, so automatically people are, let's say, anxious, are protesting, and this is a very challenging activity for us to communicate, to explain to people, don't be afraid, everything will be made in the good, highest standards, but this is our challenge right now.
Thanks.
Just two examples of what happened in Finland. The one is from Posiva case, Onkalo acceptance, and there were lots of NGOs that were saying that it's not a safe concept. They were not believing the safety case. But when the regulator, which is very highly valued, we have measured how people trust the regulator, so it's trusted regulator in the public. So when the regulator said it can be done safely, so the discussion ended of the risks in the repository of the final spent fuel. So the regulator's role is critical. And the second example is that now today the Green Party is supporting it, nuclear power. Now, how did that happen is the key influencers were climate researchers who came up with that nuclear is a must. So climate researchers are part of the Green Party, and they made the change within the party, and it took some years, but now every party is on board in Finland.
Thanks. And briefly on the industrial side, so what is being observed, Pascal, maybe I guess you will highlight again the fact that we have a program that is on the tracks by France.
Yes, but it's clear that before we have this program, there must be a lot of factors that we have to meet. I wanted to speak about also public acceptance. It is quite important. In France, we have a long story with nuclear, so it's people are confident in nuclear. But it's clear when we have some difficulties in Fukushima, the level of confidence in nuclear has decreased in France. And then recently, due to a lot of external factors, the war in Ukraine, the COVID also, the question of sovereignty and so on, the engagement of public, acceptance of public, and the confidence in nuclear has increased a lot. Before 2019, people were more confident on renewable than on nuclear, and then this had changed. People are really confident in nuclear, so that is really important to have that. Then after you have to have the confidence of the political actors. So we see this morning Guillaume Buit, President Macron has decided to launch this program, so we have that. But we have the centralized political power, but also we have the region when we will have our nuclear power plant, and our decision is to build this EPR2 only in a place where there is still some nuclear power plant, because it is easier to make people accept this product. And what was quite surprising, in fact, the different regions in France, they were arguing, hey, you must build this your EPR2 in our place, not in the region not in our region. So it was quite interesting to have that. So we must have this alignment. We must have also alignment with our safety authorities. So I see Olivier Dubois in the room. So it's clear that we must have safety authorities that guarantee the transparency of what we are doing, and it's clearly important for public acceptance, because if the safety authorities is independent of the vendor of the electricity, it gives confidence to the public. So it is really important to have safety authorities independent, transparent, and that is organized in order to carry the assessment we have to carry on our product. So with all this alignment, we can build a program, but it's difficult to have that. It takes a long time, and when we manage to have that, we must be we have this we have this confidence. We must continue, and we must deliver the product in order to be good and to respect this confidence.
That sounds good. And Lou, last but not least.
Last but not least, I can only agree with my colleagues. The point I will do in public acceptance is that it's never due. I mean, right now we are in a good moment, as all of you were mentioning. In different conferences since Monday, we've been seeing some graphics, specifically Finland is very, very impressive. Poland is very impressive, the level of public acceptance. We are seeing the same thing, but it's an effort of every day that needs to keep going on, because the minute something will grow, it can shift very easily. And sometimes we forget that. I think us as an industry, we have that tendency to build what I call the nuclear citadel. It's like us here. We are just between us. Obviously, we agree with ourselves. We need to invite more people from outside to come to this kind of conferences as well, to educate, to integrate them, to be part of the innovations that we are developing, the programs that we are developing. And I think sometimes that is missing a bit. Sometimes we have also the feeling in the society that it is an old technology, it's not cool technology, but actually it's not the case. It's very complex. We have discussed AI, we have discussed digitalization, like many others, so there are a lot of opportunities for the communities, but it's how you talk, how you engage from the government side, but also from the public side. All the studies presented, when people working in nuclear talk heart with their neighbors, their people, those are the areas where you have a higher level of public acceptance, and we need to keep doing it as we are building more and more, and answering in all transparency all those hard questions. Sometimes we make a shortcut on the waste, like, no problem, I will take care of it. No, that cannot be the answer. You need to say, well, this is what science says, this is what we are doing, and also take into account the perception and the feelings of the populations that they are taking that into account.
Thanks a lot. So, just for sake of understanding, I will make a quick comment with respect to the public engagement, and notably the European engagement that we are benefiting from, so that we keep a bit of time for the questions. So the comment that I wanted to make, and that was shared together with the panels here, is that we do receive some support from Europe. I'm thinking first and foremost about Euratom projects that are significantly subsidized by Europe, notably in the field of harmonization. So there has been a harmonized project in which the safety authorities are taking part too. This project has been running and should be finalized soon. There has been in the past as well some initiatives outside of Euratom that are multi-parted between safety bodies to go toward the harmonization. And of course, as well with respect to the consolidation of new build technologies that are implemented, both Framatome, Westing, but as well TVO, and many other companies are taking part to such large projects, EU subsidized, such as EasySML, notably, and the other projects that have been supported by notably the lines NRT 0103 and 0104 in the past call, not to mention ConnectNM as well. So many projects are being supported financially by Europe to consolidate the capacity of the supply and globally of the different actors to de-risk and to make sure that our new build programs are more efficient than they were. This said, I give the hand to Alexandre for last summary.
Can I just add one thing? Because especially on the topic on public acceptance is just to congratulate the young generation. I think they're having an approach that is very, very different from the more experienced or traditional one. They are much more open to society. They utilize the network, social media. They talk to actually their peers in a very open and trustful way. And simply thank you, because I think you are giving a lot, and the next generation, really, you are the ones who are building reactors that they're going to last 80 years, maybe 100 years. So it is going to be on you to do it, and I think you are doing an incredible work on that side, so thank you.
Well, on behalf of all the young people, thank you. So thank you to our panel for that very rich discussion. So you've brought us insight into the main challenges that you've faced in building a new build in the past years. You've also shared with us the lessons you've learned, from the past and what you're going to do in the future, so that, what we are going to do in the future, so that new reactors are going to be built in time and in quality and in safety, of course. You've shared also what you're awaiting from vendors and what you're awaiting from your supply chain at home to be able to conduct those programs. And we've discussed as well about how to promote social engagement around those projects, which are there to last 80, maybe 100 years. So it's a very significant decision that is being made today. So now is the time for questions from the public. A lot of hands raised.
How do we deal organization? Send mics or? Okay, I will do the run. So I need to just exercise.
So when you ask your question, please address them to, if applicable, to one of the panelists.
Yeah, my name is Andrzej Chmielewski. I am from the Institute of Nuclear Chemistry and Technology. And I just want to refer to maybe France and Poland concerning the problems of norms and standards. Because as a matter of fact, our institute was established something like 50 years ago. It was Institute of Nuclear Research. Now it's Institute of Nuclear Chemistry and Technology, one part, and the second is this other big institute. And as a matter of fact, also I was, the professor at University of Technology for many years, and standards was like a Bible for me. Because up to 95, we was in Poland obligatory, in principle, follow the standards, even the, let's say, the thickness of the line on the drawing, just follow the rules, etc., something like that. Nowadays, when, of course, this project, as Mr. Sid was said, stop down, I mean, this first construction, we shift, let's say, partly to the non-power application of radiation technologies and nuclear technologies. And still we have, let's say, so-called regional project in Europe. These projects are run by the International Atomic Energy Agency. And in the case of this non-power application, for example, processing, radiation processing, we have standards and we have just the laboratories, accredited laboratories in all the countries. And in principle, if you go from Poland to Portugal, you will be just surprised that they have the same standards as we have in Poland, yeah? And also, Mr. Sidło knows that when this project here appeared concerning the Westinghouse, etc., I was working in the time in the States when Mr. Carter stopped this breeding reactor, yeah? I was working at University of Tennessee. So that means that I just said, okay, Americans, they have this inches, we have this centimeters, yeah? And even when I was doing somewhere there, this guy who was in mechanical shop was doing something for me. I give him the drawing in millimeters, and I said, maybe I have to change to inches. No, keep Andrzej, it's okay. And next day I am coming on his, table is 1 inch is equal 2.5489 etc. centimeters. So my question is that I understand that, as I heard from EDF concerning about this standardization, how it will work in the future in Poland. We made such meeting in Polish Committee of Normalization, yeah. In principle, they told us that ASTM can be just also translated in the Polish, but let's say they belong still to the American side, yeah, for that. Here we are coming with ISO and PN and EN, of course, standards. How it will be this problem solved, and how it will be important for the project, let's say, deployment. Thank you.
Thanks. So more, okay, I'll let you deal together, or maybe then it could be more Lou because of... Yeah, I'm not sure, but okay, go.
I'm not sure to have the answer, but it's clear the question you raise is a very, very critical question of standards. And our feedback is that when you operate in different countries, you can have different standards, and that this is quite difficult to manage that. One experience when we built our EPR in Flamanville, and then in UK, we thought at the beginning we can build the same product, and in fact it couldn't be the case because the standards were different. So we have to adapt. We have to try to convince people that our standards are good. So it's clear, it's really important question. I'm not sure to have the solution within EDF. It's clear that if we can, on a European level, have a more common mutualized standard, it will be easier for our nuclear industry. And our feedback is clearly the same. We have to work together to try to harmonize the different standards, regulation, and so on. It will be easier for everybody, but it's not only in the end of EDF, it is in the end of everybody acting in nuclear energy to try to harmonize. I think there are a lot of initiatives that are launched, so we have to push to have the most common standards as possible, but I'm not sure to have any other answers to give you.
I can add a bit on what you are saying, and we agree. And it's true that we didn't mention that on the lessons learned, and it's one of the lessons learned that we got. And I recall some of my colleagues in Westinghouse telling me the first AP1000 for Chinese, it was 4 o'clock in the morning, and we were still revising some of the metrics to be sure that we were sending the right drawings. So there is a lot of learning that came through it. Actually, for us in Westinghouse, the fact that all the process is fully digitalized with this W Nexus platform, it helps because we can actually easily change from one system to the other. It's not ideal. I also agree that specifically by platforms, I mean, if you are in Europe, there is no reason why in Poland should be different than in Bulgaria, than in France. That especially, I mean, I don't think us, the vendors, I think we have the tools, the expertise, the knowledge with pain, but we can solve it. The problem is when you go into the supply chain, where the actors are lower, smaller, more local, because one of the things, I mean, at least on the strategy of Westinghouse and the AP1000, is that we build locally all that supply chain with small, medium companies that help on it. So we need to have that standardization to help the full supply chain to understand that, or be sure that we can standardize some of those building information modeling tools so they can have working packages or working manufacturing that actually solve that issue today. And that is, at least, we're still working on that on the R&D and innovation side, and those are the tools that we use in Westinghouse. And of course, also supporting all regulatory boards, so being aligned with all the industry to get that harmonization that is really highly needed in nuclear.
Thanks a lot, Mr. And obviously, if we got the red light, it means that we are close to an end. So
it's 10 to 6.
Please.
Thank you, Sir Chairman. My name is Ki-Six. I'm working from professor one of the university. I want to ask two in the EDF and then Westinghouse. Today morning is for opening remark. It says most important thing is for public understanding, public confidence. How can we get the public confidence, public understanding through the nuclear power constructions? In case of Westinghouse, they built 8 units of AP1000, 4 is for China, 4 is for USA. All 8 units is more than 2 times longer than planned schedules. Even 2 units in USA, they have addendums. They spend almost $9 billion they addendums. Also for EDF, built 6 units, and for Finland, and then China, and then UK, and then France. But you are also more than 2 times, some power plant more than 10 years long time as planned. How we can get the public confidence? If you have an investor, did you agree? I promised for 5 years, but actually 11 years. I think we are talking about the supply chain harmonization, many things to get public acceptance or supporting from political people. We try to meet the schedules. Today also mentioned for Minister of the Poland, on schedule, on budget, and keeping qualities. This is our Bibles. But for both of them, both unit is technology is for standard technology. But let me know, how can we apply it for AP1000 from France, Poland? Poland is a newcomer country, and the other country already operating country, experienced country. But how you can keep the schedule on newcomer country built AP1000? This is my questions. Thank you.
I mean, because you are referring to AP1000, and then I let, obviously, Andre answer on the Polish side. I mean, all the lessons learned that I have shared is what we are doing to solve that issue. We are not in a first of the kind. We have the experience. We know how to build them. Not only, I'm not talking about the maturity of the technology, I'm talking about the maturity on the delivery machine to do it. You mentioned it today in China, the AP1000s are built in under 5 years with certainty, so it's totally feasible. What we were talking in this discussion here was about why it was so painful on the first of the kind. So now that we are going down the learning curve, when you are getting on the middle, we have those tools, and it's the lessons learned that we have shared. The modularity, the construction, digitalization, the regulator, all those kind of things, the integration and the maturity of the supply chain, just a sum up of what we have discussed. That's how we get that engagement, and that's how we get that certainty on the delivery. We are not in a first of the kind. We know how to do it. And yes, it was painful. It was a lot of overruns in both companies, and we know the consequences that brings into it. But I think now we know how to do it. And that it was exactly the same at the very, very beginning of the nuclear era. It's just that now we are entering that phase. So how we solve it? Building more. I mean, it's the only way that you can get that certainty and that knowledge transfer from one project to another. That is my...
From Polish perspective, what do we see the things? So I will point out two things. First of all, in Polish atomic law, it's written somewhere, Poland will build only proven technology. And I remember during a lot of meetings, people were asking us from technology vendor countries, what does it mean? It means simply that we will pick up proven technology and we will start proven technology. In Polish realities, we consider that this technology that we will build, or second, third location, this technology should be built somewhere in the world and built and operating, or at least should be the licensing process should be in progress or should be done. This is one thing. And when we analyze what went wrong in recent new build projects everywhere in the world. It's not only the case of EPR, but also it was the case of AP1000 in Vogel and VC Summer. It was first of the kind technology. Okay, nuclear business developing new technologies is, but the big error was to start the project, to start the construction of the power plant when basic design was, or general design was, but basic design or construction project was not, let's say, developed enough. The maturity of design is very important for us. And we consider that when we analyze the errors from other projects or Kilwato, and I think you have the same conclusion from Finland, our position is that we will not allow the start of a project, physical construction of the project, once the design will be, let's say, reviewed by regulator, analyzed, understood, practically 95–97% of all technical documentation and quality documentation. This is one of the things. And also when we analyze what went wrong in the world in new build project, very important is to pick up appropriate partners for construction of the power plant. Because when we analyze EPR or AP1000, technologies are good, safe, performant, and so on. But who will build such power plant on site? Experienced partner. And when we analyze what went wrong in Kilwato, Flamoville, Vogel, and so on, EPC construction of the formula. So that's why after years of analysis, of negotiation, we pick up for the first project Westinghouse and Bechtel. I don't want to be perceived as making PR of Bechtel, but we consider that this is one of important point of success or to avoid problems, to pick up right EPC formula for the project. If we pick up for the project an experienced partner that has not the sufficient capabilities to build power plant on site, to manage the project, it can be risky for us. Yes, so this is our answer for it. Proven technology and EPC construction formula.
Thanks. Does it work? No, it does not. Okay, maybe last question, because 3 minutes.
Let's try.
For the rest of you that still have questions, put that on the app, or you can try to find those very nice ladies and gentlemen that participated to the panel just after. Please.
Roberto Dinolfi from Ansaldo. Thanks for this very interesting panel, by the way, and thanks to the speakers because they share with us a lot of ideas and lessons learned. There are two things that I understood and one thing that I didn't understand. The two things that I understood is that part of the problem, large part of the problem, is with construction. And by the way, this is not a surprise. It is very difficult to standardize construction. It is very difficult because local companies are educated to build their own way, and to transfer this capability is not only a matter of EPC contractor, by the way. Is a matter of difficulty to create the same culture and the same attitude in different countries. The other thing that I understood is the supply chain. It is important to maintain a supply chain alive year after year and so on. And then I come to the question, the thing that I don't understand. Why are we talking only of large plant today? because very honestly, I think that these two issues could possibly be answered by going through a standardization of SMR, both for the supply chain. That will mean that possibly you are maintaining the supply chain alive, building 6 300 megawatt instead of 2 large plants. And on the other side, standardization of SMR could solve possibly the issue of so significant impact of the site construction works. So I am surprised that we didn't talk about this, and I would like to understand why.
So very simple answer, Roberto, is the questions that they have asked to us was to focus in technologies that has been built. So it's just the objective of the panel.
Yeah, but one of the lessons learned could be that the large plant have some problems here. When we think of the supply chain, when we think of construction. To create a site like Hinkley Point that I visited one month ago is very difficult. It's a huge effort that you have to reply every time.
But maybe to say it's clear that the topic was on our feedback on EPR. but for EDF, as I said at the beginning, we have several products. We have EPR, we have EPR 1200, and we have SMR. And it's clear for us, all the products are useful. They are dedicated to different contexts. But it's clear what I wanted to say is that all the lessons learned we have and all the improvement we would like to make, they will apply also on SMR. Because on SMR, you will need a supply chain. You will need to standardize. You will need to digitalize the engineering. You will need to build a lot of products. So in fact, the lessons learned, we catch them on high power, but we can apply them on every type of power, and this lessons learned will benefit all our SMR product. It's clear. So we didn't mention that, but because it was not the purpose, but we have in mind that our SMR product will benefit of all this improvement. It's clear.
For us, it's the same. As you know, Westinghouse also has an AP300 that takes all those lessons learned. But to your point, Roberto, 2 points, I mean, at least what we have learned, that's why the AP1000 is so modular with those 52 models, and we are applying exactly the same lessons learned to the SMR. At the end, what counts is you need to build to learn. So any SMR that has not been built, it is still a first-of-the-kind risk. How you the risk on the construction? The modularity help, but if you have been able to introduce it since the design. Secondly, is that figure that I mentioned, what we have learned is that the footprint, the quantities of nuclear safety concrete, the quantities of steel that you have is what actually is giving you more headaches when you are constructing. And that, independently of big or small, when you see in an AP1000, that footprint is as small as the one as an SMR. Because we learned it. It was not the case for Vogel 3. Now is the case for all the other AP1000s that came after it. And that philosophy, of course, we will apply to the AP300 as well.
So as a votation, I propose to raise hand. We have the organization in the room. If you want to stay 1 other hour to address the rest of the question, you can raise your hands. No. Otherwise, I just propose, please, to applaud the panelists. That was very interesting. Thanks a lot. And this said, let's release the room and again proceed through the application if you want to ask further questions or tries to chase those people. Thanks a lot to you as well.
Thank you, Pascal. It was very nice. Yes. We'll be here. Out of common, I think we have the same.
Yes, it's clear, but